Hello and welcome to a video tutorial, quick guide to Final Cut Express. A lot of the things you're going to be seeing are relevant to Final Cut Pro and other variations of the two programs. So we've just set up our project, we've set our scratch disk and we've saved our project. The next thing that we may want to do is import our media. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to either use a USB to connect your video camera to your laptop or computer, or you're going to get a USB reader, which is a small little device that reads USB cards, and you're going to plug that again into either your computer or laptop. Usually what I do is I just make sure it's showing up, and here it is. This is my USB reader, and it's showing up on my laptop, which is telling me that my computer is reading it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I need to go and get Final Cut to access that USB reader, and I need to log and transfer the files on that USB card, on that SD card, into my Final Cut project. So to do that, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go down to Log and Transfer. Now this, depending on what variation of Final Cut or Final Cut Pro or Final Cut Express you're working on, may differ. For the latest versions of both Final Cut Pro and Final Cut Express, this is the procedure you will follow to import media from an SD card. So I'm going to select Log and Transfer, and it should open up a new window. As you can see, the title of the window is Log and Transfer, and immediately this window has accessed all of the files that have been taken from that video camera. Now it's very important to remember we're talking about digital technology, and when you've pushed record and you've captured some footage, that footage has been put into computer code and it's stored on a file. So what I'm going to do is you can just browse through the different media. You can select one clip, play it, 3, 2, 1, and you can determine whether or not that is a file that you want to import into your project. During interviews or capturing B-roll, it's quite possible that you've recorded some footage that you know you're not going to need. In that case, I would suggest not importing that file. So let's just say I've looked through all of these different files, which is a process in itself, and I've determined that I want clip 2, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to call it a real name. Now this is an interview, let's say. So interview 001. Then I'm going to name it. So this is perhaps the beginning of the interview. So I'm going to put introduction. If this is connected to a film scene, you might want to put your film scene in. You might want to put your shot and take how many times, and you might want to put in your angles. So it might be an over the head shot, might be a close-up, and you can put log note. So I might just put a little bit of wind, which is telling me that when we recorded this there was just a little bit of wind in the microphone. In the classroom environment, it's up to you to determine what information you put here. Obviously it varies depending on what project you're working on, but the idea is that this information allows your editor or another member of your production team to know what this file, what's on this file, without having to necessarily go and look at it all. So then I'm going to go and add clip to queue, and as you can see, it's now being imported from my camera or USB into my project. Now what's great about Final Cut Express and Final Cut Pro is I don't have to wait until it's imported. I can now go and select other clips. If I wanted, I can watch them again, repeat the process, and say, right, this is still interview 001, but this is now the middle of my interview. I may have changed my angle of camera, and I'm going to put perfect. And then I'm going to go and add this clip to queue. And then perhaps I'm going to go to another file. In fact, let's go down here and we can say, right, so I know this is a voiceover. So I'm going to put interview 001. I'm going to put voiceover. introduction perhaps. And then I'm going to put a little too long great ending. And you have the ability to tick good or bad. Let's just say that this one is a good one. So I want other people in my production team to know I think this is a great voiceover and this should be included in the project, so I'm clicking good. And I'm going to go and add this clip to my queue as well. So as you can imagine, this can be a process. It can be a job for 1 or 2 members of the production team and can take however long you've got on your file. Now this is important to do. Once all of those files are taken from your SD card, you're able to then delete the footage on the SD card and then perhaps go for another shoot tomorrow using that SD card. So once I'm happy with all the files that have been pulled in, I'm going to close this window, and there you can see inside my browser I have my introduction, my middle, my voiceover. And to select them, and there it goes, appears. So that's importing files directly from the camera using an SD card reader or a USB connected to the camera. If I wanted to pull in image from another source, I can go to File, Import, Files or Folder. So perhaps I want to pull a folder, and remember we go back to that folder, and perhaps now I've put inside here lots of different images that I want to use in my project. I click choose. Well, that's just messed up my whole thing.